Hello and welcome. My name's Jordan and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, welcome back if you're returning. Thanks for being here. Today I am going to be introducing a brand new game to the channel. This game is called Nautis Home. You may have heard of it. It's the successor to Ship Simulator Extremes. It's developed by the developer V-Step. And yeah, I've been playing V-Step's series of Ship Simulator games ever since they came out with Ship Simulator 2006. I remember getting that game specifically to be able to drive the Titanic around in the Hawaiian Islands. It was pretty fun. But yeah, so they're back. V-Step is back. So I remember the series went from Ship Simulator 2006 to Ship Simulator 2008. Then we got Ship Simulator Extremes, and now we're here with the current iteration, which is Nautis Home. Now, Nautis Home is being released on early access, and that's what we've got here. It's an early access version of the game. It just came out just a couple days ago, or a few days ago now. I've been meaning to record this and get it posted to my channel days ago, but I've been plagued with recording issues. I did some changes to my home studio. If you're returning to the channel, you may notice my background is different. It's because I've switched up my space. I have a green screen on order, so you won't be able to see the background in the future, but for today and possibly the next video too, who knows, you can see the background. Yeah, we're not here to talk about my studio space. We're not here to talk about this. We're here to check out Nautis Home. Now, if you are interested in playing the early access, you can get it yourself from V-Step's website. I may get the link for you and include it down below. Not that this is sponsored in any way, but just so you have access to it, if that's something you're interested in. Now, it's not on Steam, it's not on any of the big stores, Epic Game Store, none of those. You're paying them directly through their website, and then they're providing you access to the software, and then you're installing the software to your computer, signing in with your username and password for the V-Step website, and then you're able to access the game. So you know, and it is paid. It's a per month subscription. They have a 1 month or 6 month option. So if that interests you, you can check that out. But it is early access, so it's definitely not a complete product. And you'll see that as soon as I bring it onto the screen. Let's take a look. So this is what you see as soon as you launch the game. We've got the Nautis Home logo in the left side here, exit button on the right. We've got training and free roam options. Under training, we have the introduction section with 4 different scenarios, which these are what we will be taking a look at today. We also have maneuvering with a whole bunch of other scenarios. So if you're interested, I do plan to make more videos using these scenarios here, so check back for those in the future. We also have, as I said, the free roam section here, where you can choose an environment, choose a vessel, choose the conditions of that environment, and go. You can do what you want. Now, something you may be wondering, you may be asking is, hey Jordan, where are the settings? Where are the options? I want to see those. Unfortunately, they don't exist yet, so don't look for them. There are no settings or options available right now. Not, at least from a UI standpoint, user interface standpoint. Anyways, let's get into the introduction. So I'm going to dive into scenario number 1 here using the controls, and yeah, let's dive into it. Alright, so this is the game, my friends. We're immediately seeing the briefing screen here. This is telling us basically what this is all about. Now, if the scenario had objectives, they would be displayed on the right side here. This scenario doesn't actually have objectives. The point of this, I'll just read this really quick. So, using the controls, move the controls and watch how the ship reacts. Remember that ships are heavy, so it may take a while before you notice an effect. Now, the ship's information is down here on the bottom left. We're in the Zondale. It's an inland oil tanker that's 109.9 meters long and 3,680 tons. It's pretty big boat, if I must say so myself. But yeah, so let me just get the ship underway here while I continue to talk about what you're seeing on the screen right now. Basically, I'll take the opportunity to introduce you to the UI, and then we'll go from there. So right off the bat, the first thing I'll draw you over to is this task bar looking thing on the left side of the screen. This is where all your main controls are. At the top we have the menu, which is pretty bare. It just has continue, restart, or stop, which would be to exit. There's no settings, as I mentioned before. And then the next option is the briefing, which is what we were just looking at, right? And then we have controls, which are down at the bottom. These will be different and unique for each vessel that you're sailing. So depending on what ship you're in, this will change. So for example, with this ship, we have rudder controls for turning, and then we've got this bow thruster, which can rotate 360 degrees. It's quite nice. We also have the main engine thrust power here, and then we also have this river pilot button, which quite honestly I have no idea what that's for. I'm hoping that in a future scenario it will let me know. Moving on, the next option would be the coning menu, which is in the center at the top there. On the left side we have speed and propulsion, we have location, date and time, latitude, longitude right here. Here's our heading, 202 degrees. This will tell us there's a compass here. You can see south is here. I kind of breezed through this, but we'll go through it in more detail in the future. You can see here as well, this is the thrust, so we're at 100% and 358 RPM for power. Something that's cool over here is this is like a meter that will keep track of the list of the ship. So if we're actually in a wavy sea, wavy conditions, the boat will go like this, right? It will roll. So this will basically tell us what the list is, and then the echo sounder for depth, we're at 18.6 meters currently. This is current conditions, so sea currents. So right now there's no current on this map, on this scenario. And then wind conditions are here. We have a wind 8.9 knots, and it looks like I want to say it's coming from 358 degrees, but I'm honestly not sure how to read this yet. Still trial and error. Yeah, and quite honestly, I don't really know what the difference is between STW, SOG. I don't really understand what this is here, and I don't really understand what the difference is between true and relative for the wind here. That's just me, transparency. The next option would be, or the next menu that we have was the chart, which is on the top left here. It's pretty basic. We can zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. We also have these buttons here that we can use. Left clicking and dragging the mouse allows us to move around. If we get lost and we want to find the ship again, we can click on this button here to center back onto the ship. This is as far in as it will go. We can't go any further in, and in previous instances of this game, of this series, you could see on the chart like sea depth. So you could see how deep the water was on the chart. That's not the case in this game yet. I'm hoping that they will be adding that in the future, but as of right now, that's not here. We also don't have any options to like plot, like chart a course or anything like that. So, this is what we got. That's it. Gets the job done though. And then the last menu here is the radar. And honestly, I don't know what these two toggles do. These two toggles, I'm only speculating what they do. Filtering out the sea, I think, is like filtering out like the waves from being detected. If there is really a lot of waves, they would show up on the radar. So I'm thinking that this is what that's for, is to filter those out. And likewise, if it was raining, we could filter the rain out of there as well. We can change the range here of the radar, so increase the range if we would like. We can also change the orientation of the radar, so either have it orient itself to north or to the heading that we're on, which is what it's currently set to. The next option here is view. Now, there is two parts to this. So my webcam is covering part of this right now. There's always this little view control option on the screen on the bottom right. There's buttons that let you rotate the screen, go up and down. You can also in the center click and it will bring you back to the default view. Now if you go to the view options, you have the ability to go to the bow of the ship, the stern of the ship, the starboard bridge wing, and the port bridge wing. And you also have the option to go back to the helm, which is the bridge. Use binocular mode, which again on the right side it's covered, but there are the options. So currently we're in 4x zoom. We can go to 8x zoom, 10x, and 12x. And then finally the last option we have would be the orbit. So this is the orbit camera, so we can zoom around and see the ship in action. Now, you know, this the last thing I want to show you here about the UI would be this button here, which lets you toggle the UI from dark theme to light theme. I prefer the dark theme, so I'm just going to keep it there. But yeah, that's basically it. That's, you know, and like I said, there's nothing to this particular scenario. There's no objectives, so we can actually just go ahead and quit this scenario and move on to the next one. Alright, so moving on, we're going to go into the next one, which is reading the instruments. Now, I have done these scenarios because, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I've been plagued with a bit of recording issues, so I have done these scenarios, so I know what to expect. Now, this one is going to be, it's very similar as the last one. There's no objectives on this particular scenario. Basically, it says, reading the instruments, turn the ship around and keep your eye on the instruments. What do they tell you about the movement of the ship relative to the water and the ground? We're in the same vessel as the last one, so let's just take a look. As you can see, the sea is a bit more choppy now. You can see the roll meter up here. The list is it's changing because the ship is moving around in the waves. I'm just going to give it some thrust here, and also, yeah, we're just going to give it some thrust and watch it go. But yeah, we already went through we already went through all of this stuff. I think I've gone through it in as much detail as I really can. You can see here, as I turn the rudder, it tells me what the degree is set to. So we're currently 25 degrees to the starboard side, which is going to turn us, wait a second, I'm having a moment. Sorry. 25 degrees to port, which is turning us starboard because it's a rudder control. Very interesting if you don't know much about vessels. That's, you know, you say turn to starboard. If it's a rudder controlled ship, you're actually going to be turning to port. So interesting. And of course, port is the left side, starboard is the right side. I'm not an expert by any means, but I know some things from my childhood obsession with Titanic and that sort of thing. But moving on, yeah, so there isn't really much to do in this scenario. I can show you more of the ship maybe. Let's just zoom in so you can see some details. Something I really loved about the model that I noticed while I was trying to record this the first couple times was I love that the flags are moving. I love that little touch of animation, and there's one on the back on the stern of the ship as well, right here. I think that's great. I'm pretty sure it was a previous ship simulator game where the flag was just kind of this flat stationary thing, or it might have had some little swing to it, but it definitely didn't look like this. Like, this is pretty realistic, if you ask me. But yeah, this is the ship. This is the Zondale. But I think that's all I got to show you for this particular scenario. So yeah, let's move on to the next one anyways. Alright, so the next scenario is using the chart. Let's jump into it. In this scenario, it's actually going to have us do some stuff, so I'll show you what it looks like when there's objectives. So here we go. We have an objective, sail to the harbor. We have on the chart here a little dotted line of where we're to go, and it says using the chart. Use the chart to orient and plan your next move. Sail into the first harbor west from your position. Look at the chart to find it and avoid shallow water. We're in a new vessel as well. We're in the Leocadia. It's a cargo coaster used for moving cargo around in shallower waters around the coastal areas. This ship's a little bit smaller than the Zondale that we just saw in the last two scenarios. It's 87.3 meters long, and it's 3,490 tons. So we're just gonna sail around this point here into this harbor here. So let's get the ship underway and let's get going. Let's do it. So yeah, this is the bridge of the, sorry, I forgot what ship I'm on. The Leocadia, that's what I'm calling it. This is the bridge. You know, I do wish that the screens showed the instruments and stuff, so I didn't have to keep the UI elements open. It would be nice. Also, in the previous games, you could use the controls here by clicking and dragging. That's not something I can do in this current iteration. But you know, it's very early access. It just came out, so I'm sure that these are things that the developers already have on the list to look at and to handle. This is what the ship looks like from the outside as we get underway here. Again, we've got flags blowing in the wind. I love it. It's a pretty boat. I like it. Pretty little boat here. Now, there is something I noticed on this map in my previous playthroughs, and that's this little Easter egg over here. If you can see, it looks to be a vessel that's capsized slightly, that's listing and could be sinking, most likely sinking. But maybe this is a, you know, maybe that's showing us something, meaning that we currently don't have any options for, I don't think ships can sink yet. I know that they can be grounded. I know that if I hit a wall, it's going to stop the ship. But in terms of actually sinking a ship in the current iteration, I don't think it's a possibility. But you know, this could be telling us that it's coming, or it's in the works. Who knows? So that was pretty cool, anyways. I also want to show you guys, with regards to the chart and the radar, we have the option here, this little button in the top right corner. We can close the screen, or we can click this button. Now by default they're stuck to these positions, right? But we can click this button and then suddenly we can move it around. Not only that, but if we click that button and drag it, if you have multiple screens, you can drag this thing right off the screen and onto your other screen, which I thought was really cool. I'm sure that's for more professional individuals who are going to be using this this game for training purposes or practice purposes. But I love that. And yeah, you can see my other screen's a 4K screen, so it kind of scales it up a little bit. But as I drag it off, it's yeah, it's on my other screen. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, there's not much else for me to say, so let's just continue sailing here. We're moving into the harbor right here, so we're just gonna continue making this turn. I can probably deepen the turn now, so we don't end up going and crashing into that boat over there and sinking along with it. This particular vessel doesn't really move at very high speeds. It's only about 9 knots. That's what we're currently going at, 9.2 knots. So it takes a little bit of time to make this turn and to get over there, but we're on the way. I'm gonna deepen the turn a little bit more. Alright, so we're just about lined up now. So we're heading into this little port over here. If I change the view back to the orbit, you can see here it's a little town, there's a little harbor there. Basically the objective of this particular scenario is to sail the vessel into this harbor area, and once you do so, you win. So that's what we're doing. I'm just going to straighten the vessel out a little bit because it looks like we're pretty much on track. Alright, we're getting closer. Let's see if we can... Actually, we could use the radar. Let's pull it up. And we can see the wall as it approaches. Actually, we're not supposed to use the radar yet. That's in the next one. I'm getting ahead of myself. So I find that when I straighten the vessel out at this point, it does want to pull to the port side, so I'm gonna just turn it a bit so that it goes towards the starboard side, and just kind of keep it straightened up. I'm not really sure why it's doing that. There's no current, and the wind is actually, from what I can see, it looks like the wind is behind us, pushing us this way. basically it's, yeah, the wind is basically pushing us in the same direction. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure what's going on here. I haven't been able to figure out that mystery. But we're getting close now. We're almost to the port here. Alright, we're getting really close now. Like I said, as soon as we pass the walls here, the quay walls, depending on how you pronounce that word, yeah, as soon as we pass the key here, the scenario is going to be completed. I know because this is my third time doing this due to recording issues. So, yeah. Something that doesn't happen though is the UI, like the menu UI, doesn't actually tell you that you've completed the scenario, which is interesting. So you can't really keep track on the game itself. You just gotta know by memory, I guess. Here we go, we're sailing in at full speeds. Probably not recommended in the maritime industry to do this, but I think we're okay. The Coast Guard's not nearby by the looks of things. Clearly there's a vessel out there sinking. We should be fine. Alright, and there you have it. We did it. Scenario completed. You made it. Perfect. So then it does give you a score. I've never gotten less than 10 out of 10, so I don't know if this will be adjusted in the future, but they do have some type of like scoring situation going on here for the scenarios. And yeah, that's that scenario. So let's move on to the next one. I want to show you all four of these intro scenarios before we end off here. So the last one is going to be using the radar. Alright, so for this one, the briefing says, use the radar when visibility is limited. Try, if you can, steer the vessel into the harbor even when you can't see it. We're actually in a new vessel now, and we have the objective here, sail to the harbor. And yeah, so we're in the vessel Doggerbank. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's the best I can do. It's a roll-on, roll-off ferry, 215 meters long, 28,444 tons. So yeah, this mission is telling us to use our fancy radar here. So I'm just playing around at this point. Okay, so the Doggerbunk has 2 thrusters. It has a bow and a stern thruster, which we can control either individually or together. I'm going to go ahead and just crank them both to the port side so that we can get the ship moving towards the port here, because we need to sail into this. So yeah, I want the ship moving that way. We also have a port and starboard thrusters here, and we can either, again, use them individually or use them together. And we have our steering wheel here, which isn't a rudder control, it's an actual steering wheel, so it's a bit different than the previous ships that we've been using. And it has an autopilot as well. So that's the Doggerbunk, and I can try and show you what it looks like. However, you know, it's extremely limited visibility. Basically, if you've played the Ship Simulator 2006, 2008, or even Ship Simulator Extremes, there's a ferry in the series that I think it was for P&O. Basically, this ferry seems to be the exact same kind of ferry, but we can barely see it through the fog. Yeah, so I can't see the quay wall, but I'm gonna like move the vessel up a little bit. Let's give it some thrust. Maybe 30% will do, just to get us moving forward slightly. I'm not seeing that wall yet. Oh, I can see it in the helm view. Alright, let me turn slightly here. Turn the wheel, that is. We still have our thrusters going both to the port side. Alright, we're moving at 2 knots right now. I'm thinking maybe dial this back slightly, just because I don't want us going too quick through here, because I can barely see the wall. We have to clear that wall. I could probably turn the stern thruster off and just go with the bow thruster. Am I gonna clear this? I might have to stop the ship here. It's very hard to see, but I think we should be fine. We should be able to clear it. Alright, it looks like we're good. We made it through, and we just have to sail forward a little bit and then the mission will be done. So I'm just going to speed the ship up slightly so we can get on through. But yeah, this is our giant ferry, the bridge of the giant ferry. I actually really like this bridge. It looks pretty cool, actually. And you can hear, I don't know if that's wind or rain, but yeah, we can hear that as well. I should probably slow the ship down now. Going 5-6 knots in here. I can't even see. I can see a wall to the port side, but that's all I can see. Awesome. So scenario has been completed. We did it. Good job. Victory. Awesome. So again, 10 out of 10. I don't think I've never seen it not be 10 out of 10. So, maybe not for this scenario, maybe other ones, but that's that. So yeah, that's the first 4 initial scenarios of the game. Let me know what you think about them. Yeah, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of the game so far. Let me show you what environments are in the game. So we'll switch over to free roam. I'll pull up an environment for you and show you a ship you haven't seen yet. So here are the different environments we have as of right now in early access. We have the English Channel. We have the training area, which is where the first 2 or 3 missions took place in. Maybe even the 4th one. They might have all taken place there. I'm not actually sure. I didn't check. But yeah, the training area, the Gulf of Mexico. This is just like a big water map. We have Hong Kong, we have New York, we have Rio de Janeiro, we have Rotterdam, and we have Sydney. I'm just gonna go ahead and take Gulf of Mexico for this one. As you can see, it's just a blank map. There's nothing to it. It's just water, which is perfectly fine. These are the vessels that we currently have access to in early access. So we've seen this one, the Leocadia, we've seen the Zondale, we've seen the Doggerbunk. This is the biggest ship that we have in the game so far, the MV Go For It. It's a container ship. It's 336.8 meters long, 128,000 tons. Very big ship, 23 knots max speed. The runner-up to it would be the Clipper Canary, which is a cruise ship, and it's 24 knots max speed, so a little bit faster, 294 meters long, and 48,853 tons. The other vessels that we haven't seen yet are the Vigo, the Olina, the Atos, and Odysseus, as well as another one here, Almeda. So this is a Coast Guard vessel. Olina is a tugboat. Vigo is a luxury yacht. We have Odysseus, which is a service vessel for offshore platforms, and we also have a pilot boat with Atos there. But let me go ahead and just dive into this with Clipper Canary. And show you what that looks like. I'm going to keep the conditions calm. Let's add some waves, and let's choose the starting spot here. So give you a sneak peek of the Clipper Canary. Let's get the vessel going. So the controls are fairly simple. So for the Clipper Canary, it has 2 thrusters, port and starboard. You can control them both together or separately. You can just toggle that off and on clicking this button here. It also has a bow thruster, so we can move the bow, and an autopilot. Other than that though, I'm just gonna hide the rest of the stuff here. This is what the bridge looks like. Actually, I love this bridge even more than the Doggerbunk. Really looking forward to getting some more the screen's functional, being able to use the controls here. Yeah, really looking forward to that. Let's take a look at this is the port side bridge wing. Looking down the side of the ship, and the starboard side bridge wing. Clearly there's some graphical issues going on here. Hopefully that will be fixed. This is the stern view. Actually, yeah, stern view, looking off directly above the water. And we've got the bow view, which I'll show you here. Not a great view back at the ship because we're kind of inside this mast, but there you have it. And I'll show you the orbit. So we were just right there with the bow view. Stern view is down here, and yeah, there's the bridge up here, bridge wings. That's a pretty ship right there. I forgot to actually get it going. Oh, it's going at 5 knots. But yeah, basically that's the game in a nutshell. Again, this is early access. There's lots more to come. I'm sure lots of things will be improved. that graphical issue that we just got to see there. But yeah, I'm really excited for where this game is heading and the potential that it has. I hope you are too, and I hope that you choose to stick around and see more content. Yeah, just let me know if you like the game and you want to see more. Be sure to hit the like button on this video. That will let me know that you want to see more, and I'll be sure to bring that to you. As well, please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not done so already. That way you know when I do post new content. I do try and keep a consistent schedule, but sometimes life gets in the way, and I can't always guarantee that I'm posting regularly, but I do try and keep a consistent schedule, that being at least once a week. However, I am coming back from a hiatus right now, so don't look at my previous few weeks, or rather a couple months, because it's been a little crazy on my end. But we're back with new games, we're back with new content. Here we are. Yeah, all that out of the way. Thank you so much for being here, and take care, and I will see you soon. Bye now.